Welcome back to Just Chattin'. And this is the series of videos we do on Thursday and Sunday evenings just for our own entertainment. So, what's up today? Well, in the wake of Samantha's lawsuit against Nutmeg, and the lawsuit, as most of you know, involves statements that were provided by Nutmeg to Omid Scobie and Carolyn Durant when they were writing Finding Freedom that were damaging to Samantha, and it was damaging to the whole Markle family. But Samantha is going after the statements that were damaging to her personally. So, when we come back, we are going to take a look at the backlash. Well, at the heart of this, what is going on here? What we have is a family squabble playing out in the headlines of every tabloid in town. Oh, and not just in one town, all over the world. I feel very bad for most of the people involved in this because I do not believe that most of the participants ever wanted their dirty linen aired in public. I think if we look back and remember what Samantha Markle's position was when the news of Nutmeg and Ginger's relationship first became public, we will see that she was supportive. She was kind. She spoke about how wonderful her sister was. These were very, very flattering statements. So, what changed? Well, as time went by and it became abundantly clear that no one in the Markle family was even going to be invited to the wedding, and, of course, the only person on the Raglan side that would be invited was Doria. Well, did anyone really expect all of these people to go gentle into that good night? Well, if they did, apparently they were sadly mistaken. I can't say I blame the Markles for fighting back. When Harry and Nutmeg had their engagement interview, and I'm sure we all remember that, Harry said that his family was going to be the family Nutmeg never had. Ouch! This is a woman who did, in fact, have family. We have all of the photographic evidence to support this. She had relatives. She had relatives who cared about her. And again, photographic evidence. She had a father who didn't just support her. He made sure she had the best of everything. If he could afford it, it fell her way. And that's all there is to it. Not just in terms of material possessions, but he also used his influence to get her jobs. Her first two acting credits were on shows he worked on. Is that a coincidence? No, it is not. Anybody who believes that is a coincidence, boy, I have a bridge in Brooklyn I'd love to sell you. The fact is, She came from a large and very supportive extended family. Her uncle, her father's brother, who worked for the State Department, called in favors to get her that internship in Argentina, an internship she was certainly not qualified for. She didn't even speak Spanish. But no, he pulled in favors, got that for her. Did he get an invitation to the wedding? No, he did not. He got dumped by the wayside along with everyone else until his untimely death provided a very convenient excuse to call Harry back from the UK. Remember that? Her uncle had died and she was grief-stricken, and Harry had to go home to console her. This is the same uncle she hadn't spoken to in years, who was not invited to the wedding, but my goodness, she used that death for her own benefit, didn't she? Of course, these are going to be people who are upset. Anyone would be upset. They were going to strike back. Anyone would. The question is, who fired the first shot? Well, I think we all know. The first shot was fired in that engagement interview, the family she never had. And of course, things have gotten worse because now it's very clear that she, Nutmeg, was responsible for all of the highly inappropriate comments, and frankly, most of them were untrue, that appeared in Finding Freedom about Samantha, her sister. Samantha is fighting back. Now, the media is saying Samantha is her sister's biggest troll, and that Samantha lost her Twitter account for harassing and cyber-stalking her sister. Well, we have to take that with a grain of salt. And the reason why is because Nutmeg's little coterie of sycophants, the Sussex Squad, targeted Samantha as soon as she began saying anything even remotely critical of Nutmeg, just as they have targeted anyone else who even dares to challenge Nutmeg's version of the truth. Is it surprising that Samantha's Twitter accounts were suspended? No, not at all. These people have dedicated themselves to shutting down anything even remotely critical of their beloved Nutmeg. It's a no-brainer. We know what's going on. Does it mean anything that Samantha's accounts were shut down? No, because of course she was targeted by these diehard Nutmeg supporters. And it surprises me that anyone would even consider this newsworthy, but they do. This is what's appearing in the news now. Samantha lost her Twitter accounts. Oh my. Well, some of the comments from Samantha's Twitter accounts have been posted. Samantha's attorneys are alleging that the accounts were hacked, that these tweets were photoshopped. I don't know if any of that's true. If I had to guess, and keep in mind, guess, if I had to guess, I would say probably not. I haven't found anything really reprehensible in any of those tweets. Certainly, I haven't found anything in the tweets that I haven't heard 100 times before from others. The fact is, there are a lot of people out there questioning whether or not Nutmeg was actually pregnant. A lot of people. There are a lot of people questioning whether or not these children of hers were born by surrogacy. There are a lot of people questioning whether or not these children even exist. Me, I don't know. So I would have to say, given the fact that I'm on record as saying I don't know, I guess I'm a questioner too. And who did that? Is this something Samantha started, or is this in fact a ball Nutmeg threw out there, got rolling, and let it snowball into something meaningful? I would say the latter. If there was some level of transparency in anything Nutmeg does, anything at all, then hey, maybe there would be no questions. Certainly, I haven't heard anybody question whether or not Kate Middleton was the mother of the 3 little Cambridge children. No, because the press was invited to follow along with the pregnancies, to go to, the hospital, see the babies when they were born. The children have been raised in the public eye, which is appropriate for royal children who are, in fact, going to have a position in the line of succession. The people have the right to know these kids from the get-go. So, would I consider this to be something that Samantha started? No. These are Nutmeg's own chickens coming home to roost. If she did not attempt to obfuscate all of these issues, there wouldn't be any question in anybody's mind. People don't just get up in the morning and say, gee, I wonder if such and so is pregnant. No. And of course, the woman has in fact, used a doll on at least one occasion. I am convinced of that. So, what are we looking at here? We are looking at a whole bunch of dust and smoke that Nutmeg herself kicked up. And it's unfortunate because, in fact, it's her children who are going to be growing up living under this cloud. I do consider that exceptionally unfortunate. These are innocent little children. It's a shame this is happening. Would it have happened if Nutmeg had simply played by the rules? And the royal family has rules about these things. If she had played by the rules and dealt with the birth and the pregnancy and everything else in an open and above board manner, like everyone who went before her has done in the past. You can't have it both ways. You can't write your own rules and then get upset when people are angry that you didn't follow the rules. It's that simple. So, is Samantha responsible for this? She is not. People have been throwing these questions out long before Samantha dealt with any of this on her Twitter accounts. And let's not lose sight of the fact that there is a whole contingent of people out there who are convinced that Nutmeg had children prior to Archie and Lilibet. Now, I've tried looking into that. I cannot find any credible evidence to support this position, but there are people out there who are convinced. And quite frankly, I don't know what to believe anymore, because the problem we have is Nutmeg lies about everything. She's been caught in so many lies that whatever benefit of the doubt she may have had 5 years ago Oh, that's been flushed down the toilet. The ship has sailed. Does she get the benefit of the doubt anymore? Well, not from me. So I really think it's unfair that Samantha is getting blasted in this way. And obviously, these are efforts to try to diminish her standing with her lawsuit. If they can bring her into disrepute, lower her credibility, then there are people who are going to feel that the lawsuit is merely maliciousness. So I think there's a method to the madness, and that's unfortunate. So as we move on to the rest of the family, Thomas Markle has said that he is in support of Samantha's lawsuit. And before we start to take a look at this in the context of this is a man who is supporting one daughter over another, we need to reframe that picture, because let's not lose sight of the fact that recollections can vary. Is he supporting one daughter over another, or is he supporting the narrative of one daughter over the narrative of another daughter? Because that's how I see it. I do not see this as he is supporting Samantha over Nutmeg. I see this as he is supporting Samantha's narrative, which frankly dovetails with the truth, over Nutmeg's narrative, which has been proven false time and time again. Samantha is attempting to set the record straight. She is calling out the lies. So when Thomas Markle says, I support Samantha, it seems to me that what he is really saying is, I support Samantha's right to tell the truth, to defend her reputation against the slams that it has taken in finding freedom, and frankly continues to take in the media all the time. And she is painted up as some sort of jealous harridan who is only interested in destroying her sister's reputation. Wow, that is just so unfortunate, because this is not where she started. And most of us can remember where she started. She started in a very supportive position. She did not fight back until she was kicked to the curb. So I would have to say that dragging Thomas into this is not doing anyone any good. There was a recent clickbait headline that said Thomas Markle refused to let the hospital list Nutmeg's race as black on her birth certificate. Now, when you just look at that in a vacuum, it rather sounds like he was trying to deny her African heritage. No, I saw the YouTube broadcast, and I can tell you that what he said was he wanted her to be listed as mixed race, which in fact she is. That's the fact. But apparently the hospital felt that the child of a black mother should be listed as black, and he objected to that. So, did he deserve to have this twisted around? No. Now, to be fair, the article does list the whole story, lists the full circumstances, but the headline does not. And how many people are going to read the whole article, as opposed to how many people are simply going to see this as a tabloid headline? I think, in fact, that if that family, if anyone in that family so much as gets out of bed and blows their nose in the morning, the tabloids are going to somehow make this seem like a vicious attack against Nutmeg, because that's what sells. That's what plays. And I find this absolutely unfortunate, because as I started off saying, this is a family squabble, and I don't think the victims of this squabble are the ones who wanted it to play out on the front pages. That is, that's amazingly unfortunate. When we start to take a look at the extended Markle clan, I think we have to recognize the fact that not all of them have clean hands going into this. By the way, I'm not talking about Tom Markle and the paparazzi pictures. That, I believe that was a setup. I did a whole video about that. You take a look. I believe the evidence supports that. It was a setup. By the way, it was the same sort of thing that Nutmeg had been doing herself for years. Posed and set up paparazzi shots. So why was it okay that she did it, not okay that Dad did it? The fact is that these are people who were thrown into the limelight unexpectedly with zero support and then cut adrift. What do you expect? Sure, they're going to fight back when they start getting blasted. Can't say I blame them in the least. So, what's the solution to this? Well, I've said this before. I believe the solution to this whole situation is to take Harry at his word. When he walked away from royal duties, the British government needed to accept that as a preemptive abdication. Take him out of the line of succession, let these people do whatever they want to do, wherever they want to do it. I'm sorry it's in my country, but I wouldn't wish them on anybody else's country, so I guess we're stuck with them. Let it go. The fact is that most of the controversies that are being laid at Samantha's doorstep are controversies that would have no meaning whatsoever if Harry were not in the line of succession, because she's been accused, a funny word to say, of aligning herself with pregnancy truthers. By the way, a pregnancy truther is simply someone who wants the truth about a pregnancy. And that makes no difference if the children are not in the line of succession. If the kids are not in the line of succession, who cares? Really, who cares? Even the British shouldn't care all that much, because whatever may or may not have gone on with Archie's birth, Lilibet was born in the United States, as far as we know, assuming all is as it purports to be. And the United States does not draw any distinction between natural-born children and the children of adoption, or the children of surrogacy who are eventually adopted by the parents. Doesn't make any difference to us. Does it make a difference to the British? Yes, it does. And that's one of these that the tabloids are now calling an antiquated law. It doesn't matter if it's an antiquated law. What matters is it's their law. British law says that for a child to inherit a title, that child must have been born of the body of the lawful wife of the man passing down the title. It's that simple. So, the children would have to have been nutmegs. She would have to be pregnant with them and give birth to them. That's not a thing in U.S. law. We just don't have that. We don't draw any distinctions. They do. And that's fine. It's their country, their laws. They've got titles. They can deal with this any way they want to. We do not have titles, so we don't even have to deal with these laws. But characterizing them as antiquated is way too judgmental. Off the record, yeah, of course I think they're antiquated, but that's just my personal opinion. I'm not going to go to the British and tell them they have to change. I'm glad they got rid of the male preference primogeniture. They had that for the longest time, from father to firstborn son, and that was the end of it. Because remember, this is the law that kept Princess Anne, the hardest working woman in the royal family, from being in the number 2 position behind Charles when she was born. Oh, no, actually, she had it when she was born. It was once Andrew was born that she got bounced. And because the law was not applied retroactively, it wasn't changed. Andrew is still ahead of her in the line of succession. Frankly, I'm glad the British changed that law, not because it was antiquated, but because it was sensible and practical. The English have had 61 monarchs. For those of you who have watched these videos, know I like English history. 61 monarchs. 6 of them have been women. I do not count Matilda. She had a claim to the throne at the time of the anarchy, which says it all. Or Lady Jane Grey, the 9 Days Queen, again, says it all. Reigns were disputed in both cases, and neither one of those women were crowned. 6 women out of 61 monarchs, 10%. Well, of those 6 women, 3 invariably hit any list of top 10 British monarchs. England thrives in the hands of women. So as a practical matter, making sure women had an equal right to rule was just a sensible thing to do. So whether they changed it because it was antiquated or because it was obviously in their best interest to do so, doesn't matter. It doesn't. But it's not right to criticize laws of a very ancient nation and say, well, this is antiquated. There are laws against murder have been around for a long time too, but we don't label them as antiquated. So that's just my in defense of the British being able to do what they want to do. After all, they are not coming into our country saying, and you must establish a monarchy. Well, not anymore anyway. The fact is that all of this chaos, all of this family infighting goes directly back to Nutmeg and Ginger. They disowned Nutmeg's family from the get-go without any legitimate reason. They were dismissed because they didn't fit Nutmeg's narrative, the narrative of the moment. Who knows? Maybe they will now, because she changes her narrative all the time. They didn't fit the narrative. They were kicked to the curb. That's where all of this began. So to say that somehow Samantha is responsible for all of this, no. It all goes back to nutmeg. She is the one who fired the first shot in this war. All right, that's what I have for you today. We will be back on our thrifting videos over the weekend, and we will come back Sunday evening with another episode of Just Chattin'. We'll see you then.